What's going on, family? It is your favorite play cousin, your favorite relative that you didn't even know you had, Carlos Davis at Mr. Resource Mogul. Welcome you again to another episode of the Network or Die podcast. You could be watching this from home, your office. You could be listening to us in your car. I'm so humbled and honored. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've had a chance to check out our past episodes, thank you so much for support of our past episodes. Thank you so much for the feedback that you've given. If you haven't had a chance to check out any of the past episodes, please feel free to check all of those out. Big shouts outs to our partners, Alton Lane, Made Lifestyle Collection. Stay tuned to the end. Have some major discount codes for you guys. Yes, you heard me. Some partnerships that we have, some discount codes we want to pass along on behalf of our partners. Today, we have family in the house. And I mean that with all sincerity. Man, we have family in the house. Now, I say that because me and this brother, we have worked together on several projects here in Charlotte, dealing with the city of Charlotte, with Black Enterprise recently, and now, and I'm humbled to say this, and I'm so proud of him. He was just named, y'all, the CEO of the Carolina Small Business Development Fund. I want to introduce you guys to my brother, Mr. Kevin Dick. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for coming by. I know you're stepping into this new role and you have a lot on your plate, but thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule.
Well,
to be with us,
I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm a little worried now. This interview has to go very well, man. That was a huge, very humbling lead-in. So I got to stand and deliver.
Oh, see, here you go. Here it is. But no, man, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you.
For someone, I've seen your journey, been on the journey with you at some points, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But just for you to be elevated to this level, to this position, you deserve it. Two, I'm proud to see you be in it because I know your heart. I know what you want to do for our community. So I'm proud of you, man. I'm very, very proud of you, man.
And I don't want to make this too corny, right? But it's really reciprocated.
Thank you, man.
It goes in the other direction. I'm so proud of the courage you display on an ongoing basis.
Thank you, man.
The grind, the hustle that you're putting in to make your business successful.
Thank you,
and even the conversation we were having right before now and this podcast, I mean, this guy is really, he just comes up with new things all the time. I didn't know he had a podcast.
Oh, man.
Me, a couple weeks ago and says, "Hey, come and be on my podcast.
Hey.
I want you to talk about your new adventure."
Yeah.
Which this is truly an adventure, truly a humbling honor to have been named the president and CEO. But I'm proud of you, and thankful to you for providing us this opportunity.
Most definitely.
So
for those of you that do not know you, I mean, I know you well. Like I said, you're like family. Tell the viewers, the listeners, who Kevin Dick is. Tell us your background.
Wow. All right. You want Reader's Digest?
Reader's Digest.
Reader's Digest or Webster's? So, you alluded to some of it earlier in terms of my passions around really, small business inclusion and how it really is an economic development vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when individuals, particularly people of color, talk about the value of small businesses being developed and talent being developed within communities, I think it's seen as almost a social justice argument and not an economic development argument.
Right.
And see, social justice is obviously very important for all of our communities and our society in general. It also connotes emotion, and sometimes emotions are temporal, right? They're fleeting, they're temporary.
Right.
But when you start talking about economic development, you start talking about revenue generation for governments, for businesses, for individuals. Now that's math. That endures.
Right.
And so, and I think it actually attracts attention of a lot of different hues and races and people in different stations in life.
Right.
So, my passion, I'm in North Carolina parlance. I'm a halfback. I was born in the Northeast. Born in Brooklyn. Grew up in Montclair, New Jersey. Very proud to be a first-generation American with Trinidadian and Tobagonian lineage. Spent some time down in South Florida, then moved to North Carolina, first to the Triangle, then to Charlotte, now moving back to the Triangle. But really representing a statewide organization, so I'll be all over. But when you talk about my passion, it was really born of the fact that, back in the 80s, there was a show that came on TV called Family Ties. Some people remember Family Ties.
I do remember that show.
And so in middle school, early high school, my objective was to be the black Alex P. Keaton.
Nice, bruh. Right? You millennials, you may not know that. Google Family Ties.
That's right. We gotta make this multi-generational here. And so I was convinced I was going to be a business mogul somehow. I went to undergrad at Georgetown in D.C. I majored in international business and thought that was going to be my path. Got a job after graduation in marketing and then sales. And I worked in urban communities. And I worked on an urban marketing team. Well, I worked on a marketing team, and I was the urban representative. So basically what that meant is 7-person marketing team with 1 black guy and 1 brown guy.
Wow.
And so I was going to be in the urban communities throughout New Jersey. So, I grew up in North Jersey, but if anybody knows anything about New Jersey, there's,
Shouts out to Jersey.
Newark, Newark as a sort of a suburb, if you will, or a major metropolitan area extension of the part of the New York metropolitan area. But then you had other major cities like Camden, which is an extension of the Philadelphia metropolitan area, Atlantic City, Trenton. These are places that are probably an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours from where I grew up. Nevertheless, I was in all of these territories. So some of my colleagues on the marketing team, they had territories that were kind of around their houses. I was the urban market rep. When you're traveling to these urban markets, what I soon realized in working in marketing in New Jersey and then for a year in Delaware, which was probably a more diverse marketing sales territory. But anyway, when I would be in urban communities, I'd recognize that I may have been doing, I could have been doing a lot more to help communities than what I was doing. I actually represented brands in the liquor industry. I worked for an importer called Shefflin in Somerset, New York. They import Hennessy and Tanqueray and a lot of brands like that, high-end brands, and then sold some of those same brands. And I didn't necessarily think there was anything dishonorable about what I was doing, but at the same time, I thought I could be doing more. And so I would be in these urban communities, and I would see, abandoned buildings, vacant lots with all kinds of things in vacant lots, and maybe windows that were shot out or busted out. But I would envision things. I wouldn't see those buildings and those areas of land for what they were at the time. I saw them more for what they could be. And so I started to become really just interested, without knowing it, in urban economic development. I didn't even know what that meant was. I was going to be the black Alex P. Keaton. I was a pure capitalist. I didn't really know I just knew that these communities could look better. And so a friend of mine at the time, I was talking to her about this, and she brings me this article that has a title or a subject matter about community and economic development. Now, I have no idea what this means, but I read it and I said, this is what I want to do. And then I said, well, I've got a business degree, how do I start doing this? And that led me to a degree in urban planning. And led me down to, just due to some family circumstances at the time, led me down to South Florida. So I attended Florida Atlantic University, got a master's degree in urban planning. Thought I was going to be getting that degree and heading back up north, and circumstances just dictated that my career took off in government. So I made a complete 180-degree turn, but still being able to employ some sales and marketing skills. So I've worked in government and/or consulting ever since. And eventually my journey led me to, like I said, from working in local government for 2 different local governmental agencies in South Florida. My journey led me to the Research Triangle. So was there with the city of Durham and also doing some consulting work for about 11 years. And then I came down and saw an opportunity in Charlotte, bigger market, a lot of, community and economic development challenges, equity challenges.
Right.
And I had a background in both economic and workforce development. And so some of the powers that be down here thought it would be good to have me come down here. So I've had spent 4 years, but then saw this amazing opportunity to really go to an agency that is grounded in small business lending, but not just lending, but the technical assistance that small businesses also need. So it's not just giving you a loan with terms that can really impact your future business viability if you pay or if you don't pay these loans back, but also the technical assistance pre-loan, what you need to have in place to get qualified for loans, but also really some advice on how to build your business in terms of planning and marketing and back office operations, but also post-loan. So now we've gotten you a loan, but what kinds of advice can we give you so that you don't default?
Gotcha.
So that you keep your payments on time and so that your business credit remains intact. So we've got those 2 pillars: the lending, the technical assistance, and then third, and what I find very intriguing and very useful, is the policy and research element. So we want to be thought leaders in our industry. We're what's called a community development financial institution.
Gotcha.
And what that means is we've been designated by the U.S. Department of Treasury to do loans in underserved communities. And typically these are loans that large commercial banks wouldn't do. So anything over $250,000. Our sweet spot tends to be between $25,000 and $250,000.
Wow.
And at favorable interest terms. So usually somewhere between 8 and 12%, 4-year terms. And a lot obviously is dependent upon credit and but we're, as I said earlier, we're a statewide organization. So we have a platform and a footprint in the Research Triangle, which is where our office is based. But we also have one here in Charlotte. We do loans in the eastern part of the state, hurricane, disaster ravaged areas. We do loans in the western part of the state. So we have and we really take 59% of our loans historically have been to businesses owned by people of color. Other significant percentages are women-owned businesses, veteran-owned. And then, as I said, we've got some loans that are sort of restricted to counties that are highly impoverished, or businesses in those counties, and/or those that have been really impacted by disasters. So, we're a statewide organization, and we've got a statewide platform, and really, I think that we're kind of the best kept secret still in some respects. That's why I'm so glad to have this opportunity.